In whiskey, the wind doesn't whisper. It warns dry and hot, laced with dust and memory. It blew across broken fences and shuttered windows, waking ghosts instead of dreams. That evening, it brought in Ethan Cole. His silver pickup dragged scars in the dirt road. The engine coughed like a man out of time. On either side, rusted fences guarded dying fields. Wild grass clawed at the earth like it wanted out. A sign at the town's edge read, "Welcome to Whiskey," and below, scratched in rage, "Where hope used to visit," inside the truck. Ethan sat silent. His eyes were tired, his beard unshaven. His badge rusted in his pocket like a memory too painful to wear. Once, he was a rising detective. Now, just another man looking for a place to disappear. They said he shot a boy. The court called it justified. But guilt sticks harder than law. Headlines moved on. Ethan didn't. He kept seeing the boy's mother shaking, voiceless, her eyes a mirror of grief. He hadn't meant for it to end like that. But that didn't matter. He wasn't here to heal, just to sink into somewhere already broken. Whiskey wasn't redemption. It was escape. As he entered Main Street, windows shut, faces turned. No welcome, just silence thick as suspicion. Dogs didn't bark. Even dust made a different sound beneath his tires, like it knew another outsider had arrived. He parked in front of a worn-down building. Whiskey Sheriff Department. The paint peeled like old stories trying to escape. Next door, the church leaned with rot. The crooked steeple cast a bent cross over the sheriff's sign. Flakes of white paint fell from the roof like dandruff from a dying beast. Ethan stepped out. One hand gripped a suitcase. The other clutched something wrapped in cloth. The dust bit at his boots like an old warning. He paused before the door and exhaled slowly, as if breathing too hard might collapse the building. Inside, the station sighed. The air smelled of mildew and memory. Files scattered, cobwebs hanging from a dead ceiling fan, and a bulletin board full of yellowed notices, some torn, some blood-stained. Mold crawled up one corner. A photo hung on the wall. Old sheriffs, all in uniforms, all watching. Ethan took it down and leaned it against the wall. He didn't need ghosts watching him. By noon, a deputy arrived, rumpled uniform, coffee breath, scuffed boots. He gave a nod, a welcome carved from obligation, not warmth. His eyes said, "We don't trust you, but we'll watch." His name was Billy Hart, a man who looked like he hadn't smiled in years. Billy had been born in whiskey, third generation. Grew up learning to aim a rifle before he could read. He stayed through fires, floods, and funerals. But somewhere along the way, hope drained from his voice. He worked because someone had to. His father wore the same badge, once died wearing it too. Shot in the back during a robbery no one solved. Billy never forgot. He just stopped talking about it. Ethan didn't speak. He opened desk drawers, stacked fallen folders, threw away rotted pens, rebuilding justice from ruins. Each drawer he cleaned felt like digging up bones. At the bottom of one drawer, he found a bullet casing. He pocketed it. Later, he walked the town. Whiskey wasn't abandoned, it was forgotten. Behind a bakery, a woman fed crumbs to her daughter, their shadows long with hunger. A blind man rocked silently on a porch, humming something too old for memory. A boy chopped wood with frost-bitten fingers. A drunk bled under a tree, nobody turned him over. These weren't lives waiting to be saved. These were people who'd stopped expecting anything. Pain had become furniture ignored, accepted. He passed the general store. Inside, A woman behind the counter counted coins 3 times before handing over a bag of flour to an old man with a limp. Her name was Edna. Her husband went missing 5 years ago. She still set a place for him at supper. Ethan paused in front of an old barber shop. Inside, dust-covered cracked mirrors and empty chairs. Someone had once tried to keep things proper. Now even the past looked tired. He paused before the schoolhouse. The building was locked. Boards across the windows. A single swing creaked in the wind. On the door, a fading sign read, "Closed until further funding." In the corner of his eye, Ethan caught movement, an elderly man sweeping the front of a closed diner. The man wore a white apron stained with coffee. His name was Walt. Everyone called him Old Walt. He once ran the best pancakes this side of the county, but now only made meals for memories. Each sweep of his broom felt ceremonial, like chasing away ghosts he no longer feared. At sunset, Ethan reached Lou's saloon. The roof sagged. The door hung loose, but it breathed. Inside, smoke curled. Men hunched over tables. When Ethan entered, spines stiffened. Conversations died. He ordered nothing. Sat in the darkest corner. The bartender, red-haired, steel-eyed, watched him. Her silence had sharp edges. She didn't fear him, just didn't care. Her name was Louisa McCrae Lou. Took over the bar after her brother vanished in a fire no one ever solved. Since then, she kept the whiskey flowing and the questions buried. She had her own law behind that bar, and it didn't need a badge. Lou once wanted to be a teacher. She even left town for a year. But when her brother disappeared, she returned, buried her dreams beneath bottles and bitterness. The saloon became her classroom, her patrons, her students. She watched every soul that entered her doors and knew which ones left broken. Someone muttered, loud enough, "City trash, thinking they can fix what ain't theirs." Ethan didn't move, didn't blink. He knew weight. He carried it every day. He scanned the room. Faces of men too tired to change and too mean to die. No one here wanted law. Law reminded them of debts, regrets, and graves. That night, under bruised skies, he walked back through town, entered the station, unwrapped the cloth. It was his badge, still scratched, still heavy. He placed it on the desk. Then came the scream, sharp, not afraid, panicked. A fist pounded the station door. A boy no older than 14 stood, shirt soaked with sweat and fear. Murder, at O'Connell's stables. Blood, a message. Ethan grabbed his gun. No hesitation, only instinct. He ran, in the square. The bell tolled once, then twice, then silence. A rider shouted as he passed. Found a man hanging upside down, blood everywhere. Wall says, whiskey don't need no sheriff. Ethan stopped. The past hadn't died here. It had waited, and now it had spoken. He looked at the bell tower, at the shadows creeping across the dirt road. He whispered to no one but the wind. It started. When he arrived at O'Connell's, the crowd had formed silent, shifting, afraid. The body hung in the stall like a broken promise. Flies had already gathered. Blood had soaked the straw. The message, written in rough slashes, dripped with contempt. Ethan stood under it, alone. He felt the crowd behind him, felt their doubt, their judgment, their relief that it wasn't them. He took a breath, long and slow. "This isn't just a killing," he said. "It's a performance." But no one answered. In whiskey, silence spoke louder than words. That night, Ethan didn't sleep. He wrote the name of the dead man, filed it under a cabinet still missing drawers, hung the bloody cloth as evidence, cleaned the floor where mud tracked in. Morning came like an apology. Pale and hesitant, he walked the length of town again. Every door closed tighter. Every step felt heavier. Faces turned away quicker now. People feared what justice stirred up. But Ethan didn't flinch. He found the bartender from Lou's saloon waiting outside the station. She didn't greet him, just said, "Stupid to hang your badge where folks can see." He looked her in the eye. "Let them." She studied him a second longer. Her voice softened. "The man who died last night, his name was Clay Dobbs. He was mean, but he didn't deserve that. He ran with some rough ones. Though, you stir that pot, you best be ready to taste what boils up." Then she left, and for a moment, the wind didn't warn. It waited. In whiskey, they'd stopped believing in heroes. Too many came, too many left, too many bent. And maybe Ethan wasn't a hero. Maybe he was done trying. But in a place where hope had been carved off the welcome sign, sometimes the broken are the only ones left to fight. He pinned a map to the wall, drew red lines, names, motives. He began asking questions, quietly, firmly. He visited Clay Dobbs's shack, found letters, found money, found a name scribbled over and over Cain. Trouble had roots, and Ethan was ready to dig. He wasn't running, not anymore. He stood alone at the edge of a town rotting from within. But sometimes, all it takes is one man to turn silence into justice. This was only the beginning. If you've made it this far, maybe you believe, like Ethan, that some towns are still worth saving. Subscribe to Whiskey Town Films, because even when justice comes late, when it finally arrives, it stays. And in Whiskey, justice just knocked on the door.